There is a globalist revolution taking place, not just against the United States, but against every other sovereign nation on this planet. I am your host, Alex Jones. Thank you so much for joining us. Your phone calls are coming up. But finishing up the point I was getting to in the last segment, this country is literally marinated in propaganda and disinformation. Any major sitcom or drama or movie I watch is just full of anti-male, anti-gun, anti-family garbage. Or when there is a good male role model, like in Jack Ryan's Shadow Recruit that I watched on DVD last night that came out about a year ago, if there is a positive male role model, he works for the CIA. And it's so sexy and it's so cool. And his wife, his girlfriend, just has no idea, how awesome he is. And he's implanted inside the financial sector. And there's a secret war going on with Russia. They're the new enemy. Again, all of this being pre-prepared, all of this being rolled out. And then at the end, he's done a good job. And he's a good Boy Scout, they say. So he gets to go in and he gets to meet with the president. And he walks into the room and meets the president. And it's like he's died and gone to heaven. He's gone across the pearly gates. And the average person watching this literally thinks that the only thing better than winning an Oscar, the only thing better than winning a gold medal at the Olympics, the only thing better than inventing the cure to cancer is to meet with the president. And that's what the big airplanes are about, and the red carpets and the shutting down the highways, is this big illusion that the president runs something. Sure, there have been a few presidents like Nixon or Kennedy that tried to run things, and you saw what happened to them. Whether they were good or bad, they were removed by the special interest. Presidents are puppets. And the CIA is a giant, sprawling bureaucracy involved in every evil under the sun, on record. It's declassified on record, 1997 CIA Inspector General hearings in Congress, that they ship in the majority of the narcotics and launder the money. When a cop wants to search your car randomly, you say, well, the big banks launder the drug money. Yeah, I know, but I'm asking what's in your car. See, it's all a fraud. The illegals can protest in front of the White House, but veterans get arrested if they do. Rolling Thunder Motorcycle Group tries to go up there, they get arrested. The illegals do. The illegals get to walk through TSA. You don't. The big banks get to launder the money and get to be tax exempt, and Google gets to be tax exempt, and General Electric gets to be tax exempt. You don't. You're making $10 an hour, you're not exempt from Obamacare and the payroll tax. And the establishment would say, well, they're poor and they're dumb because they were meant to be poor and dumb, and the world needs ditch diggers too, to quote Judge Schmales from Caddyshack. Well, I don't think that you deserve to be lied to and be run over. And there's nothing sadder than a brainwashed minion of this system who has created this weird little sick relationship with the president, like he's their imaginary friend and he's there guarding them, when all he is a corporate governance, franchise, pitchman, president of Coca-Cola. What do presidents do? Presidents of companies go and play golf and go cut red ribbons, and they go hang out with the mayor of cities when they come visit and do public relations. What does the CEO do? They run the company. And the CEO of this country is a round table of the big six banks, and under them, Big Pharma and the military-industrial complex. And they are 30 to 40 years advanced of us in technology and have now created technological breakaway civilization. And what we know about it is that it's 30 to 40 years advanced. They can already predict the future, and they've decided that we are to be eliminated and have already set up the plan to carry out the incremental, phased-in actuary to end humanity as we know it. And so I'm just here saying, hey, do you want to be wiped out? You like your kids going into puberty at 7 instead of 14? Something's wrong. Game over. You like cancer rates being 4,000% what they were just 30 years ago? Diabetes, same thing. Deformities, brain disorders off the charts. Game over, man. Game over. Game over. I can sit here and cover all these stacks of news, folks, and make it real interesting for you. But the reason this is all happening is because the establishment has decided that you aren't going to be existing and your children aren't going to be existing down the road. But first, they've got to implode society, so we come to them with hat in hand and will do anything they say to get food and water. And that's why I can drive down I-35 and mainly see good-looking, clean-cut families pulled over with cops searching their cars, because that's who the cops have been ordered to search. They're ordered to search each day a different profile, while the border is wide open. And I literally, every time I see it, want to pull over and go get in the cop's face, who's in a military stance, walking around in their uniform with a scared family. It's a joke. It's a joke. That cop is eating GMO. That cop is full of poison. His kids probably can't even talk a large percentage of the time. When I was over in England a year and a half ago at Bilderberg, there were just at one point like 50 British police there. And a lot of them, it turned out, were listeners and knew what was going on. They were some of the most awake police I've ever run into. They had them from a whole bunch of different cities and from London up there for the event, hundreds of them. But a few of them would try to act imperious and bug their eyes out at me. And I'd walk right over to them and I'd say, I bet you got family members that aren't even that old dying of cancer right now. And they go, what? Why are you saying that? How do you know that? And I literally would go, give me that bag. And I would pull out the London Independent that had a cover story about half of Britons will have cancer by 2025. And I said, you're being murdered. You work for a system murdering you and your family. And I go, and if you laugh now, you won't be laughing later. And those cops would look completely freaked out and would just start You know why? Because they knew, folks. They knew it was all a big joke. They were right there until the robots roll out to control the population, and then they're done. You've already been given time-released chemicals and biologicals to kill you and your family. All of us are walking dead already. I don't know how else I'm supposed to explain this to you. Remember Dr. Eric Pianka at the University of Texas, who cryptically, on his own website, talks about Lucifer and dresses up in druidic robes? I'm not kidding. Last time I checked, it was still up on his site. It's in my film Endgame. And Dr. Eric Pianka said, it's very sad, but my family's ready. It will come soon, the airborne Ebola. It will kill 90% of us, and it will be good. I'm ready to die. And when he gave a speech at the Texas Academy of Sciences, it was in the news that there was a standing 3-minute ovation with tears rolling down their faces as the professors cried as he projected on a giant screen behind him skulls with a red filter. It was a rapture of evil, devil-worshipping death. And, of course, even if you don't believe in the devil, it's the Carl Jung archetype. The people there don't know why they get so excited celebrating the death of humanity, but it's the power trip. And they've already given up everything that they were, and they've sold out to evil and to the globalist plan and to the power trip that they're the elite, and they get a thrill like a moth flying into a bug zapper that they are part of this operation. William Binney, the big NSA whistleblower, bigger than Snowden, is scheduled to be joining us coming up in the next hour. He said the ultimate goal of the NSA is total population control. He said it is a move towards totalitarianism by a totalitarian mentality. You see, the reason they've got the jump on us is that even though we know about all the secret medical experiments, killing little kids and the rest of it, shooting people up with syphilis, and the list goes on, the atomic soldiers, nerve gassing our own troops, forced abortions, major hospitals killing people with their organs coast to coast, still people have compartmentalized it, and they feel so powerless hearing all of this, they don't want to believe it's actually happening. But it is happening. The numbers don't lie. And so if you want to be inducted into being a prisoner, if you want to be inducted into a total tyranny, if you want to lie to yourself about this going on, or you feel so powerless you don't think you can do anything to stop it, at least get out of our way, those of us that want to survive and those of us that don't want to sign on to this nightmare. Because the enemy will fall on their strength. They will fall on the fact that it is so over the top, and they think people coming face to face with this will rationalize it or deny it and won't deal with it. But the truth is, historically, no matter how high-tech their mind control is, people will finally wake up in the final equation, and we will turn the tables on these people. Because they're going to do everything we've talked about here today. And if we're able to back them off and slow them down, that's good. But they have every intention of trying to carry this out. And hasn't enough of their plan come to fruition for all of you out there now to know it's really as bad as I say it is? How much worse does it have to get? Look at these headlines. Illegals protest outside White House. No fear of arrest. Senator Sessions, Americans will not accept nullification of their laws. Perry, what we're doing is a crime. I like the fact that that's being said. How many more kids are going to be put on the top of trains? 500,000, 1 million, 5 million? So I've got to say this. Rick Perry is now doing what I said he should do. He's saying it is a premeditated crime. And so we salute Rick Perry. I don't just want to attack Rick Perry for no reason. I want him to say what's happening like Ted Cruz and Rand Paul. I want us to face what's happened. That's the only way to stop this. And again, just the issue of the collapsing border is only part of a larger program. Let's go back to the headlines. Democrats, legalization will help reduce the deficit. That's a quote from C-SPAN. We're going to play that later. I've been reporting on this for months, but now it's hitting the news. Make $7,000 per month. It's between $6,000 and $8,000, the ads we've seen, fostering adult illegals. See, there's the new scam. The feds are using the federal CPS money, the social worker money, to let Democrats warehouse at their homes illegals and make money off of it. $7,000 a month to keep 3 people at your house. You stick them in one room with some mattresses and feed them. What's that cost? $1,000? $2,000? And you make $5,000. You see how they're taking the economy and paying their people. That's how they're taking over. This is organized crime. This is racketeering, by the definition. Residents revolt. What we see is an invasion, deliberate invasion. DFW Dallas, CBS. Jerry Brown makes religious appeal to open borders, manipulating Christians, working with the 501c3 state-run churches. Right-wing Baptist churches, left-wing Catholic churches, they're all state-run, folks. And the Republican leadership is doing nothing. We're going to come back in this segment, the next, and talk to Mike, Shelby, Andrew, John, and Mike and others, Mick and others, to get your take on impeachment. Look, I get the fact that Obama is totally unpopular. Hillary went on CNN and badmouthed him and said she likes George W. Bush yesterday. That's her positioning to run for president. And CNN didn't even call her on it. The media's like, well, she's pretty conservative. I heard her saying the open borders is wrong yesterday. She runs Obama. Are you going to fall for that trick, folks? And again, Rick Perry, I don't trust Rick Perry, but I said I would endorse what he's saying and doing if he started calling it criminal and deliberate. That's an important thing to do because it is deliberate. It's premeditated. Big difference. We can't just let him play dumb anymore. You can't let Rick Perry play dumb. And I know our listeners are contacting Rick Perry. Good job. Now, Rick, you need to load these people up on buses and start driving them to the Mexican border and demanding they take them because they're the ones that gave them passage. You got to stop them at the border legally to prove they came out of Mexico because under international law, Mexico's got to take them back if they are the last country that they traveled through. Again, folks, they know all this. The Border Patrol knows how to stop this. They've been telling Rick Perry how to do it. Briefly, please remember this transmission is listener supported, and so we bring you the very best products at the lowest prices, whether it be super high quality stainless steel, gravity fed filters of ProPure, discounted with a free stainless steel stand right now. Promo code WATER gets you 10% off at InfoWarsStore.com. We have up on the InfoWarsStore.com in the ProPure area, the on-the-ground taste test report, which was absolutely, pillar to post. People voted for the water that had been through ProPure rather than Austin Water. 10% off, promo code WATER, and get the wire stand. The wire stand special is about to end. You can also get a 25% off on the Fluoride Shield with Nation Iodine Survival Shield bottle together, 25% off both. That special will end on Friday. That's available at InfoWarsLife.com or by calling 888-253-3139. Representative Van Hollen says legalizing illegals will reduce the deficit. He was asked about what all the illegals will do to wages and workers. Well, Ross Perot told us what it would do, and he told us what NAFTA and GATT would do. He said it would hurt the U.S. and Mexico, and it did. It did. It deindustrialized both countries. The long race to the bottom. Let's go to Van Hollen telling us that the sky is not blue.
Just came from a hearing with the nonpartisan director of the Congressional Budget Office, who testified that if you passed the Senate bipartisan bill, you will reduce the deficit and increase long-term economic growth in the United States. I'm afraid I'm going to have to go.
And, of course, that was a larger bill with a bunch of other issues in it, but he just says that means legalizing everyone will do this. Some of the headlines up on Infowars.com. Australian government pushing internet tax to, quote, pay for NSA-style spying. They say the tax will be used to spy on you. Global elite are agitating for open war with Russia. Homeland Security agents raid home to seize Land Rover for violation of EPA regulations. They also raid Amish people that sell milk, but the border is wide open. New York police harvest innocent cell users' data to track flag vandals. That's just some of the news up on Infowars.com. Photos emerge of 10 active militia teams securing the U.S. border, but they can't really secure it because if you give them to the feds, they just release them. I want to keep pointing that out, not putting the militia groups down, but it's like the National Guard's just delivery boys for the illegals. There's another report by Washington's blog. All the countries which the U.S. or the globalists have had regime change in, Iraq, Afghanistan, and Libya, have descended into brutal chaos. Now I ask the question in this segment and the next, ahead of the top NSA whistleblower, William Binney, joining us. I ask the question, to impeach or not to impeach? That is the question. Whether it is nobler to sit here and let Obama butcher the country from pillar to post and set the precedent to commit arbitrary racketeering crimes against the republic, or whether we should do the right thing and impeach him because it's called justice, to send a message to scare all the globalists out there. Mick in Louisiana, you're on the air. Thanks for holding. What's your take on this important question?
Yes, thank you, Alex. I'd like to point out an unsung hero, then I'm going to give my statement on this impeachment. If you go to Koto Crew, C-O-T-O, Crew, C-R-E-W.wordpress.com, Bob, my new hero. That's Koto Crew, WordPress.com.
Sir, you got to tell me. You go ahead.
There it is. Yes, I would love to see impeachment. It would be wonderful. Yes, it would arouse the liberal base, but more importantly, it would arouse the disenfranchised, angry masses, and that's why we're not going to see it. They do not want, the power elites do not want to awaken the angry masses, because then both parties would be discredited.
That's right. They don't want to be brought to justice. They don't want the whole can of worms to come out, just like they went after Clinton for lying about sex instead of Laura Allen Hughes' missile secrets to the Chi-Coms, because the Republicans were involved in that as well. I totally agree with you. And look, I'm not against people plugging websites. It's just giving out web URLs doesn't work. You want to give out a headline from the website that originates from that website. That's how you plug stuff. So that's the best way for people to do that. Thank you so much. Great points, Mick. Obama started out in his administration saying, I can't bypass Congress, but I sure wish I could. To, I'm thinking about bypassing Congress, too. Do you want me to bypass Congress? Yes, yes, yes. And so they're just setting the precedent for an arbitrary executive. Shelby, what was your other point? To impeach or not to impeach? Boehner says, no way. It's a Democratic scam. Well, they are lying and saying impeachment is imminent. So what Boehner's saying is true to a point. But impeachment should be on the table, and I think we should go ahead with it.
Well, not to, because otherwise we give our implied consent with our silence. And therefore, when he made that oath and made a affirmative oath, something, he made a promise that he meant not to fulfill, that is the definition of perjury. Therefore, there is a case to be made that he has committed perjury in his statements and when he swore that oath.
Well, I mean, the big impeachment issue is he's failed to execute his duties. Securing the border is paramount amongst those for the president. Thank you for the call. Let's talk to John in Utah. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Hello, Alex. I say impeach, absolutely impeach the president, probably the vice president, but stick with the president.
And I think we should impeach Boehner.
And Boehner, because he's holding this up. That's right. And I've talked to my own congressman several times about this. His chief of staff says, well, Boehner is sort of handicapped because he has Eastern liberal Republicans that he has to deal with to try to keep everyone in line. Well, if the articles of impeachment are clearly set forth and no one could deny them in the debate that we have in the country, then even the Democratic Senate could not deny the articles, and they'd have to go along, it seems to me, with the conviction of the impeachment against Barack Obama. It has to be a surgical strike, and it can't wait forever. It has to be now. It can't go on and talk about it forever.
Well, that's my big issue is look at what they're already doing, knowing that no one's stopping them. If he's already imploded the border and is funding al-Qaeda and is signing executive orders against the Second Amendment, what's he going to do in the next 2 years?
Exactly. That's what I say. I mean, it's got to be quick and swift. Not this stuff going on and on and on and on in the media. And impeach, not impeach, whatever, threats here. And it's got to be quick. They got to be serious. There's got to be some serious people in the House of Representatives to start this. I've talked to about 5 or 6 different members of the House who I think would go along with it.
Well, Bob Barr says if he gets back in, and it looks like he will, because he's having a landslide in the polls right now, he will introduce impeachment. Of course, he did it last time. I appreciate your call. He's a former federal prosecutor and was a good one. No corruption there. And he just says, look, it's the law. You got to impeach. I mean, that's what you do. You don't go, we're winning a lot of points because he's committing a lot of crime. Let's let him stay in there. Andrew, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think you have to impeach, but I just see too many. I see a little problem with it. How far down would we have to go to find someone who's capable of running the country, who's not corrupt?
No, I agree. But see, it sends a message to them. I think we ought to indict a bunch of them and send them to prison like with Nixon. Let's put the vice president in jail. Globalist social engineers are not just targeting us with propaganda. They are manipulating our genetics. We are being targeted at every level by estrogen mimickers that lower our testosterone and other hormones and natural compounds that the body needs. After consulting top doctors, nutritionists, pharmacists, and others, we have developed what I believe is the ultimate non-GMO organic super male vitality formula sourced from powerful organic herbs and then concentrated for maximum potency. Super male vitality was developed to activate your body's own natural processes instead of using synthetic chemicals. Super male vitality by InfoWars Life is so powerful that I only take half the recommended dose. For a limited time, we are offering 15% off Super Male Vitality at InfoWarsLife.com to introduce you to this powerful supplement. Visit InfoWarsLife.com today to secure your Super Male Vitality. InfoWarsLife.com.